अस्सलाम वालेकुम। इस्लामाबाद की बड़ी ख़ास बात यह है कि इस्लामाबाद में पहाड़ हैं बहुत सारे और उन पहाड़ों पर की जाती है हाइकिंग। और आज हम ट्रेल 3 पर मौजूद हैं एक बहुत ही ख़ास शख्सियत के साथ।
बिल्कुल, we have with us the Canadian High Commissioner to Pakistan, Ms. Wendy Gilmour. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, how are you?
We are good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Really happy to be here.
So, what is our plan for today?
We are going to do a short hike on Trail 3 up to an overlook where we're going to look at the city and talk about everything that is wonderful about Islamabad, about the Canada-Pakistan relationship, and how we all have to pick up after ourselves and take care of the environment.
That is the most important thing. हमने बातें करनी है बहुत सारी, इस्लामाबाद को देखना भी है, ऊपर से पाकिस्तान-कनाडा रिलेशंस के बारे में बात करनी है और ख़जाना जमा करना है यहाँ से। अब वो ख़जाना क्या है ये आपको थोड़ी देर में पता लग जाएगा। So let's start.
Treasure hunt.
Let's start.
All right.
How often do you come here?
I come to the Margalla Hills, not always to Trail 3 and 5, but pretty much every weekend. We have a
So
group.
you're that regular?
Oh yes, and sometimes in the middle of the week, if I can get out of the office for a bit. It's part of a regular exercise routine, which I think is important for everyone, but also it's just an opportunity to take advantage of what Islamabad has to offer.
Exactly.
Connecting with the nature?
And the green space, and frankly just clearing your head. It's very important.
If you give us some tips for hiking, what would those be?
Most important thing is to be prepared. So you want to have a good pair of shoes. You want to have water with you, and I really encourage people to bring reusable water bottles so that you're not leaving plastic behind, which is really important. And it's also to respect nature, to respect the environment. So you're not littering, you're not leaving trash behind. You're also making sure that you're not disturbing the plants, the animals, the bird life, the habitat. You can hear the wonderful songbirds that we've got right at the moment, which is tremendous. It's spring, so the birds are coming back.
This is actual music.
Exactly. The Islamabad Wildlife Management Board is making a real effort to encourage biodiversity, preserve the habitat for plants, animals, and insects and birds, and all of us that are recreational users of these trails, we have to respect that.
So tell us something about your time in Pakistan. Before being a diplomat, you have had this military background to your CV as well.
That's a long time ago now. I've been in Pakistan now for 3.5 years. I arrived in the fall of 2018. It's been a fascinating time. It's such a beautiful country, such a lot to learn, people, cultures, the landscape, the issues, the surrounding region. It's been tremendous. COVID, obviously, I think for all of us, has put
everything
a damper.
on a halt.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get out to travel as much or to meet people as much as I would like, certain during the period of COVID. So we're really glad we can now, frankly, be outside without masks on. Encourage people to get vaccinated.
Actually.
It's a tremendous relief. I wouldn't say I'm really a military person.
Right.
In Canada, I'm not, actually I don't know in Pakistan, but in many countries around the world there are reserve forces. So as a student, I joined the Canadian Forces Reserve, first as a driver, and then I became a logistics officer. And that funded my time in university. So I stayed in the Canadian Forces Reserve all the way through my university studies, and then for about a year afterwards, and then I joined the Foreign Service. So it was a great background.
So what's more fun?
Well,
is it being among the uniform personnel or among the sophisticated diplomats?
I think both have their benefits.
Okay.
But you know, there's a great difference.
But did that military background give you that personality of those military people being tough?
Well, I think diplomats can be tough too.
Your activities in Pakistan, and how has the time been?
Well, so first and foremost, of course, I'm here to represent Canada and Canadian interests. And that requires learning about Pakistan, Pakistan's people. So I've tried to get out and travel as much as possible. Canada has a long-standing development assistance program here, including with a focus on the north, so Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral. So I've been able to travel a lot in the north, which is
and you've enjoyed
wonderful.
Sports also.
I have.
The Empire.
Exactly. But you know, we use sport as a way to engage communities and engage people. And, you know, like in Pakistan, sport is so important. You see all sorts of, especially boys, not as many girls. We'd like to see more girls, but kids out playing cricket, out playing football, soccer. And what we wanted to do in the north is introduce the sports that we as Canadians know and love, which is hockey and skiing and skating generally. There is an active winter sports association here in Pakistan. The communities themselves have started these winter festivals, and so we're just going up to give them a helping hand.
There are a lot of girls that are participating. I mean, in sports, the numbers should increase. But I mean, our cricket team, the girls' women cricket team, they've gone to play the World Cup. And we've got another sporty girl over here. She's tired, I
think. The idea of using sports and sport activity is that it becomes the vehicle we use, the means of engaging the community. And so our goal is really threefold. Number one, it's empowering women and girls. Right. And so creating the space to get girls involved in all sorts of activities, but sports is one thing that helps develop leadership, confidence, teamwork, and really the sense of what a kid is capable of. So we've done that. We're thrilled to see girls on the ice, on the slopes, from Gilgit in Baltistan, first time in Skardu, and also in Chitral and Madaklash, and a wonderful organization in Buni and the surrounding areas, which is really promoting environmental awareness, which is the second of our major themes, which is how do we use sport as a way of getting attention to climate change and the environment, and sort of drawing attention to the very fragile mountain communities that are warming at twice the rate of the rest of the world, just like Canada's Arctic. So this is another thing we have in common. Not anywhere near as much as I should.
But Christian Turner is doing very good.
He is my role model in that respect. Languages are not my forte, so I'm a passive listener, right? I'm beginning to now understand sort of 30-40%.
So like the salam and the teek hai and the acha,
of course,
everything is there.
I'm using acha more than I should, I think.
Acha, okay. Okay, so tell us about the relationship between the two countries, Canada and Pakistan. What are these two countries doing jointly, and how are you facilitating it?
So our relationship is multifaceted. I mean, we have an active trading relationship, development. We work together in multilateral fora. We have always been with Pakistan, like Pakistan, supporters of a rules-based multilateral world order. As medium-sized countries, we realize that it's important to work together with like-minded. We know that Pakistan upholds the Charter of the United Nations and believes in those principles, as does Canada. There's action underway, of course, right at the moment on Ukraine on this front. We would hope that Pakistan would work with the bulk of the international community to address what's going on in Ukraine and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But overall, we have just a very positive relationship. It's been 75 years since Canada and Pakistan have had relations, a long time.
So since last 3 years you're here, so what is the area that you think Pakistan should work on and improvise? For example, is it health, or is it education, or is it something else?
health and education are two great places to start. In education, Pakistan has one of the highest number, if not the highest number, of out of school children of any country in the world. About 22 million children are out of school. The vast majority of them are girls. And that has to be addressed. For Pakistan to develop, girls have to be educated, boys have to be educated, and they have to join a formal, productive economy. The World Bank has estimated that I think it's something like 30%, Pakistan's GDP could grow by 30% overnight if girls were educated. So that's one area where Canada has been working. We have a program specifically designed at the newly merged districts to help encourage girls to get in school, to have the opportunities to go to school. On the health side, we've been working really closely with the government of Pakistan and with the provinces to support Pakistan's COVID response, which is impressive. It really is a model for much of the rest of the world, how well Pakistan has been able to respond to COVID, the coordination between the federal and provincial levels, which is also an issue for us in Canada. We're also a federal country. Provinces and federal government don't always, but Pakistan has really shown the way on this front.
If I ask you to give us a quick comment about the universal health insurance program of Pakistan's federal government, people will be getting 1 million rupees of coverage.
Government hospital or a private hospital, and they say that this is the world's largest healthcare program.
Wow. So I don't really know that much about the details of it, so I can't really speak to Pakistan's, but what I can say is that as a Canadian, I value universal public health care more than many other things. It is the reason in Canada that we are able to have such a healthy population. It means that when someone gets a catastrophic disease, they don't go into bankruptcy, that they have access to health care based on the need. And if Pakistan is moving in that direction, I can only say kudos for that.
Another good thing that would happen if the Prime Minister, the Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau, would come to Pakistan. He's a very popular person. Yes, a person who's even his following is close to the PM Imran Khan.
Certainly in the aftermath of COVID, we need globally to resume connections and travel and build on the relationships that have been stopped for the last couple of years because of the inability to travel. I think right at the moment the world is very preoccupied on Russia and Ukraine. I don't think any world leaders will be traveling other than in support of a resolution of that particular conflict. But I know that there is a lot that is in common. You know, certainly the Canadian government led by Prime Minister Trudeau and Prime Minister Khan have both spoken on a number of occasions about Islamophobia. In Canada, we value and we are working constantly to improve our own ability to respond to hate of any sort, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, to address some of the growth in really sort of hate speech that we see in our communities as a result of the use of social media in some instances. We've just gone through in Ottawa, my hometown, a month worth of protests based on disinformation. That people protesting vaccine mandates and protesting the government curtailing their freedoms without really understanding or having accurate information as to what was required. And we saw those movements being exacerbated by hate groups who were using the platform to promote their own positions, and that's not healthy. So addressing hate in our society, encouraging diversity and tolerance is something that we all need to do, and I know that that's also a priority here. We find that more and more of the wildlife is attracted to where people are because of the garbage, right? Because we as trekkers and so forth, people are leaving behind bits of food and wrappers and candy and frankly feeding the wildlife, which should never be the case. I think it's important to look for those spaces so that they're not going to promote or run the risk of human-wildlife interactions that are negative, because that ends up hurting both people and animals. But I applaud the effort to try and find ways to preserve space for wildlife. There's no question.
Thank you, Wendy. It was a nice, really interesting interview, some interesting topics that we covered. But now we have to do one thing important, which is
pick up trash.
Pick up trash.
Pick up trash. We're going to leave the place cleaner than when we found it.
Yes. So let's start. तो हमने करना ये है कि हम वापसी का सफर शुरू करेंगे और जो कचरा हमें नजर आएगा वो हम उठाते रहेंगे और आगाज कर दिया है वेंडी ने। वो देखें हमें भी शुरू